Indian fever, be a believer with the Cleveland Indian fever. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January 10th, 2019 Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, publisher, and sports editor of the Lake County Sentinel, Tim Shirer. We'll be here for about a half hour tonight. We got quite a bit to talk about in sports for the first 15 minutes and politics and news in the last 15. If you don't like opinion, this might not be the show for you. So let's get started. We've got, several topics. We got Cavs, Monsters, Tribefest, Men Are Icebreakers. We got those four topics to discuss tonight. We've got the Cavaliers, who are now on an 11-game losing streak. It is the fourth longest in team history. They lost last night to the Pelicans in New Orleans. They were smacked around pretty good, especially in the second half. But, they do have a lot of injuries. Are they a good team? No. Are they a worse team because of the injuries? Yes, they are. I think the injuries have really hurt them quite a bit. And I think that, if they didn't have these injuries, they might be a little better. So I think people need to understand that. Kevin Love has played missed all but 4 games this year. All right, so that's not a real good thing. When you have a guy like Kevin Love out, Tristan Thompson's missed time, Matthew Dellavedova's missed some games since he's been back with the team. Then we find out today Larry Nance is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. So these are big injuries that when you don't have depth, when you've lost a guy like LeBron James and you're trying to find new ways to win, and then you get guys like Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, and Matthew Dellavedova injured, you're not going to have a lot of success. Like I said, they've lost 11 straight. They play Friday. They played the first game last night of a 6-game road trip. The next 5 are on the road. They play tomorrow night in Houston against the Rockets and James Harden. The Rockets are 6th in the West. They're 23-17. They're 14-6 at home. And, it's possible that this losing streak could get to 16. It's very possible. Looking at the schedule, they don't really have an easy game on this road trip there where you say, okay, they got a chance to win. I don't think so. So it could easily get to 16 games. I feel that when they come home on January 21st, they have a shot against the Bulls. Of course, the last time they played the Bulls, they had the same record as the Bulls, and the Bulls blew them out. So, I don't know what to say at this point, how positive we can get. If there's going to be a lot of wins this year, I don't think, look, in the NBA, you don't really want a lot of wins if you're trying to rebuild. It might be a mistake if they won a lot. So, if they end up winning 16 or 17 games for the year, was that really that bad of a thing? We're going to find out. It makes you, it doesn't make you feel good when you only win that many games. But in the NBA, what it does is it gets you to the point of you have a chance to have a high draft pick, which in the NBA is the big deal. And if you can get if you can get a high draft pick, if you can pick first or second, you're going to get a big, you're going to get a good player. And there's probably 3 players on Duke that could go in the top 3 in the draft. So hopefully, they can get one of those good guys, and the rebuilding will continue. I think Colin Sexton's really good. He struggled a little bit. Jetty Osmond struggled a little bit in his second year. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. He struggled. It's really his first year playing full-time in the NBA, and he struggled. Wow, what a surprise. It happens to guys. Not every guy comes in the league and is a superstar immediately. Very rarely does that happen. Look, as much as people want to say Kyrie Irving's great, he struggled in his first couple seasons. He did. So don't tell me that he didn't. And I don't have a problem with Jetty Osmond struggling. I don't have a problem with Colin Sexton struggling sometimes. So as long as they get better through the struggles, then it's okay with me. What I do worry about is if Larry Drew will keep his job after this year. We know Dan Gilbert has had a history of letting coach go. So it'll be interesting is Larry Drew really the full-time guy, or is he really just an interim for this year? I guess we'll find out. I would think he'd make it through the year, but he might not. Who knows? He could let go with maybe the All-Star break. I don't know. We'll see. But that's where the Cavs are right now, and it's rough to watch. I'm not going to say they're not in a good spot, because they might be in a good spot, because they might end up with a great player that helps them win a championship again at some point. I don't know. So, but let's move on to the Monsters. The Monsters lost last night to Belleville, who is in dead last place in the Northern Division of the American League. Belleville, they lost 3-2. It's a bad loss. Okay? It's a bad loss. You can't lose to the teams below you. You got to beat the teams below you, and they lost, and they're falling. Okay? They're falling now. They're in 5th place. Only a couple of weeks ago, they were like 1 point out of first. Now they're in 5th place. So they're falling right now, and that's not good. They play next on Friday night in Syracuse against the Crunch. And then they play, Syracuse is in 2nd place with 44 points. The Monsters are in 5th place with 39. Then after the next day, they travel to Binghamton to play the Binghamton Devils, and they have 37 points, and they're in 6th place. So are we going to say that, they should beat Binghamton? Well, no, I don't know. Are they going to beat Binghamton? They lost to Belleville last night. Okay, a team they probably should have beat. I mean, this is, if you're gonna be a playoff team and you're gonna be a good team, I don't care what sport it is, you have to beat the teams below you. And the Monsters failed last night. They lost to Belleville, a team that's not very good. Okay, so they play Friday night in Syracuse, and then they play the next night. They play in Binghamton at 7:05, and hopefully they can get a couple wins here, because they desperately need them. They're falling quickly. If they lose to Binghamton, say if they lose to Syracuse and then they lose to Binghamton, they're in 6th place. They're not making the playoffs. So they better start winning, and they better start winning quick. Monsters hockey fans have gotten to the point where they expect winning. Once you win a championship, the bar is set higher. Monsters fans that I've talked to, they expect winning, and they're not getting it right now. Let's move on to the Mentor Icebreakers, the expansion Franklin Hockey League team out of Mentor that plays at the beautiful Mentor Ice Arena. The Icebreakers, they're in last place. They're an expansion team. They play at home this Friday against the Port Huron Prowlers, who are in 5th place. The Icebreakers have 19 points. The Port Huron Prowlers have 29. And also then they play the Danville Dashers, who have 29. And so those two teams are tied basically for fourth place. Fourth place is the last position. So the Icebreakers have a lot of points to make up. So they need to win on Friday. They need to beat the Prowlers. So go out and support the Icebreakers. So at 7:35 at Menor Ice Arena. It's a nice experience. From what I've been told by people, is it's very similar to low Class A, same as the Lake County Captains. So it might be something, if you like hockey, it might be something to go watch. Yeah, you're not watching NHL, and you're not watching the American League where the Monsters play, but it still sounds like it's, it could be a fun experience. So go out and support the Menor Icebreakers. Now we'll move on to Tribefest. Tribefest is Saturday at the Cleveland Convention Center. It's a full slate of activities for the whole day. There's going to be some former Cleveland Indians there, alumni. Carlos Baerga, Len Barker, and Kenny Lofton will be in attendance to probably sign autographs and take questions and shake hands with fans, maybe take some pictures. It's a real that's a nice thing when you get to talk to some of those guys who, growing up, those guys are heroes. As I tell my son, Len Barker, he gave me the greatest memory I had until 95 when the Indians won the division, but his perfect game was it for a lot of years. Go if you're an older Indians fan, middle age like I am, go to Tribefest and meet Lenny Barker and shake his hand and tell him where you were when you saw the perfect game, because that was a memorable experience. He gave us great memories, as did Carlos Baerga. Carlos Baerga was the heartbeat of that 95 team. And then, Kenny Lofton, how many times did he jump over the fence? Those are great guys. And then you got the list. You got the current players that I'll go through here that are going to be there. Of course, Terry Francona is going to be there, and pitching coach Carl Willis. Chris Antonetti will be there. So will GM Mike Chernoff. And then the players that are going to be there, you got Greg Allen, Cody Anderson, Trevor Bauer, Jake Bowers, Shane Bieber, Bobby Bradley, Carlos Carrasco, Adam Simber, Mike Clevenger, John Edwards, Nick Goody, Eric Haas, Brad Hand, Corey Kluber, Francisco Lindor, Jordan Luplow, Leonese Martin, Tyler Naquin, Tyler Olson, Dan Otero, Roberto Perez, the newest Indian, Kevin Plawecki, Adam Plutko, Jose Ramirez, Jeffrey Rodriguez, Danny Salazar, Carlos Santana, and Bradley Zimmer will all be there. Those current Indians players will be there, and that's a great lineup. If you like the Indians, that's a great lineup. Go see those players. It's really nice that the Indians have this Tribefest in the middle of winter to break things up and get the fans interested again, because opening day is not that far away. It's in the 70s right now. It might be 73 or 74. So go out to Tribefest this weekend. That's the end of our sports portion of the broadcast tonight. We're going to be back and talk news of the day and politics right after this. Welcome back to the second half of the the Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Shirer. We'll be with you for about 14 and a half more minutes. And we're going to discuss some news of the day and politics. And there is a lot going on as usual. And we're going to start with Mitch McConnell and the GOP and how they're such hypocrites. And a good example is that these people actually are trying to say that the Democrats are obstructing, and it's horrible. These are the same people that on election night in 2008 said that Mitch McConnell, that his main goal for the next 4 years was to obstruct everything that Barack Obama did. So, this now he's saying that it's wrong to obstruct. He did it for 4 years. That was his main objective. He said it. He said it right to the cameras on election night. He had no problem with saying it to the cameras on election night. I'm going to obstruct for the next 4 years. Yet now, he says it's wrong for the Democrats to do what he did for 4 years. How is it wrong? Well, for one, the Democrats aren't obstructing. Donald Trump is obstructing by one demand, one piece of legislation. He is holding the government hostage. He's closed the government down for one thing and one thing only. Everything else in the bill is agreed to, except his border wall. His border wall that is not needed. His border wall that agents and former members of Homeland Security and people that work for the Border Patrol have said his wall is not needed. The FBI says his wall is not needed. The CIA says his wall is not needed. These agencies have never said there is a terror threat at the southern border. There has been a terror threat at the northern border with Canada, where the 9/11 terrorists came in. And there's threats at airports. But he doesn't want to worry about those threats. He just wants to worry about the brown threat at the southern border, because brown people come over that border. I'm going to talk about it every night. I'm going to run it into the ground every night, because it's the absolute truth that the border wall wanted by Trump and his supporters is all about race. But let's get back to Mitch McConnell. And not only Mitch McConnell, you got hateful guys like Lindsey Graham, who said that Bill Clinton should resign from the presidency because he lied. He cheated on his wife. How can we trust a guy who cheats on his wife? He said it in the speech in front of Congress. There's video of it. This is not fake news. This is the truth. Yet now he supports a president who's been divorced twice and has cheated on all three of his wives. Okay? He cheated on all three of his wives. But Lindsey Graham supports him when, he couldn't support Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton cheated on Hillary. And it was wrong that Bill Clinton cheated on Hillary. But that's not part of being president. It wasn't then and it isn't now. But if he's going to hold Bill Clinton to that standard, why isn't he holding Donald Trump to that standard? I don't want Donald Trump to be president, not because he cheated on all three of his wives. I don't want Donald Trump to be president because he's a terrible president. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's why I don't want him to be president. Lindsey Graham didn't want Bill Clinton to be president for one reason and one reason only, because if Bill Clinton was a Democrat and Lindsey Graham is a Republican. And you see it out of a lot of Republicans. The same things they wanted to hold Clinton to, they're not holding Trump to. Or, remember it was horrible when Obama issued executive orders. But now they don't have a problem with Trump doing it. It's okay now. But they hated it when the black president did it. Don't tell me it's not about race. When Trump supporters try to tell me it's not about race, they're just doing what he does, lying. Because we know it's about race. They're liars just like Donald Trump. They're racists. They are. They're racists. But I just had to mention that Mitch McConnell, how he can ever come out and accuse somebody of obstructing. He's the king of obstruction. And how about Donald Trump Jr. in his tweet? How about that? Comparing immigrants to zoo animals. How about that? How about that? He tweeted, I think it was either on Instagram or it was on Twitter, or it may have been on both. This is what he said. You know why you can enjoy a day at the zoo? Because walls work. Exactly. He really said that. Yes, he did. This is the spoiled rich kid, Donald Trump Jr. Spoiled, just like his dad. Just like his dad. What if Donald Trump Jr. had to survive on his own? He wouldn't last 2 weeks. The son of the President of the United States, who's an advisor, compared illegal immigrants to zoo animals. How can they justify it and say he meant anything else? That's what he meant. Zoo animals. Absolutely. Donald Trump Jr., your president's son, who works in the White House, who's a consultant. Exactly. Zoo animals. I want to touch on this topic a little bit that I wanted to discuss for a while. It's bothered me for a long time. I never really got a chance to talk about it, but then I heard something the other night. I saw a story on the news about a girl who got released from prison who had been sold into slavery, and she killed the guy. Well, she killed the guy who kidnapped her and was selling her. And she killed him 16 years ago. She served 15 years in prison, and now she's being released. They overturned it. They realized that, oh yeah, this guy was holding her against her will. It was self-defense. But of course, they have to say at the end of the story, A-lister Kim Kardashian went to her defense. Well, you know what? Who cares if she's an A-lister? What is an A-lister? Somebody who's lived off her dad's money and her dad's name and had a reality show and really done nothing in her life on her own? If she didn't have her dad's money, where would she have been? Who are the Kardashians? Who are these people? What have they really contributed to society? Except horrible reality television. And so she's an A-lister? What is an A-lister anyway? That's what I want to know. Why are they important? They're not important to me. I don't give a crap what George Clooney's opinion is. He's no more important than I am, and he's no more important than you are. So we should stop acting like just because somebody can do a little acting or somebody has a reality show, that they're any smarter than we are. Are they any more important than we are? The average everyday guy. Screw the A-listers. Who needs them? Don't act like they are so important that if they say something, you ought to do what they say. Why is their decision any better than your decision? It's not. It's ridiculous that people will actually live their lives according to what these people say and do. Think on your own. I love baseball, but I don't make my decisions by what Cleveland Indians players do. They're people just like I am. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I'm sure it's not going to grope an Uber driver like Jameis Winston because he's a A-lister. Give me a break. These people have just as many flaws as we do. So let's stop putting them on pedestals and acting like they're amazing people, because they're nothing more than we are. They just are in the spotlight. It's ridiculous. I just had to talk about that for a couple minutes because I really can't stand it. It drives me crazy. It's drove me crazy for a long time. You know, it just bothers me. We're going to end with the stock market, which is good. The stock market went up again today. And finally, Donald Trump is now ahead of Barack Obama. At this point in Obama's presidency, let's get the numbers for today. Stock market went up 122.80 points. Stock market is at 24,001.92. The stock market has gone up 3,833.8 points under Donald Trump. It went up at this point under Obama 3,636.59. So at this point, the stock market has done almost 200 points better under Donald Trump, point-wise, than it did under Barack Obama. But percentage-wise, the stock market still has gone up more percentage-wise under Barack Obama. The stock market went up in the first 2 years under Barack Obama. It went up 31.25%. Under Donald Trump, the stock market went up. I'm trying to see some numbers here, trying to figure out so I can get it exactly right. The stock market was at, I believe it was at 19,000 and something when Donald Trump took office. It was at, where's it at here? I can't, I had the numbers and I can't find them. But it's definitely, the percentage definitely isn't as high under Trump. I'll get those for you tomorrow. The percentage definitely isn't as high under Donald Trump as it is under Barack Obama. But we're out of time for tonight. And we will talk to you tomorrow. And we may be at 5 o'clock tomorrow. We'll send out alerts, but I believe we may be at 5 o'clock tomorrow. So if we are at 5 or if we're at 7, I'll see you then. Have a good night, everybody.